Now we're really live.
Now we're live. There we go. Technical difficulties at the beginning of an episode seem to be pretty much standard for us.
This is episode 19.
Episode 19.
We almost hit 2 full I don't know how to say it because it's not decades, but it's a deck of something.
Yeah, 2 full tens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So we're working on.
After that, we can't count on our fingers and toes.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, collectively, we still can get to 40.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any weird mutations like 5 fingers, 5 toes each. We're good.
Oh, you got things on the table? So do I.
Awesome. That's actually my thing that I forgot to take off the table before we started the episode.
This is Varnish.
Yeah, that's the varnish I use.
Conservation Gallery Series from Krylon.
Yeah.
Is the only type you use?
Nowadays, yes.
And is there a reason for this?
The main reasons I use it are, number one, it's conservation quality, like it's meant, it's museum quality. Number two is it has this nice tip on it that's maybe hard to see there, but
it's a fan spray.
Fan spray tip. And it's the only varnish I've found that has a fan spray tip, so it coats much, much smoother when you spray it on your canvas. And it also doesn't smell, like I use it indoors. It doesn't have that like super chemically smell.
There's a skeleton on here.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably not
Flames
great,
too,
but
and explosions.
I don't use it and then stay in the same room, but like,
the
smell doesn't stay around as long, and I always open a window anyway.
Extreme danger.
Yeah, extreme danger of its explosion if you put it in a fire, of course.
Poison irritant.
Yeah, if you fucking drink it, of course. You don't want to fucking.
This is some serious.
It's varnish. It's not the newest cocktail ingredient.
Yeah, I really like liquid glass. I find it's like a substance that emulsifies and finds its own level, and then becomes see-through and hard. And like
I've only got
you can wash it.
The only experience I have with liquid glass is the one that we did where
I poured way too much.
It wasn't level. It wasn't level. It ended up with bubbles in it. So I have this like.
That was one of my first ones.
Plus, I just use this. I don't need liquid glass.
Yeah, but the liquid glass looks fucking dope.
It does, but for me, I'm cool with the way all my paintings like end up with the same kind of vibe with this varnish.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those ones behind us are older paintings that before I started using this stuff, but
you spray them anyways?
Yeah, they were done with a different Krylon spray varnish. But yeah, I mean, since I think about 2015, maybe 16, I've been using this one. It's expensive compared to other. It's like $30 a can instead of like $12 a can for the cheaper varnish. But I think it's worth it, just for the simple fact that it sprays much, much smoother. I mean, it's worth it for that. It makes my job as an artist easier and quicker. So.
And I think it's important.
And I think I use less because I'm able to just nice even spray on a painting.
Part of the job of an artist is to make sure that the art gets, revered and like kept safe.
Yeah.
So if you don't do a good job of it beforehand and hand it to the person and it weathers in their hands, they're gonna have a bad taste in their mouth. They're gonna fucking throw it in the garbage. Let's be real with each other here. And what we need as artists is to have people preserve the art because that's the talking piece. That's what shares the message.
Ideally, you want people that own your art to respect what they own as something of value, and the easier you make it for them to take care of it properly, the better the situation is. That's why I use varnish, because as we spoke about it in one of our earlier episodes, one of our first few episodes, when a painting has varnish on it, if it gets a scuff, you can just use paint thinner and remove any dirt or damage or scuffs from other paintings. If you're packing up a show and you have a whole bunch of paintings that are moving around your studio getting bubble wrapped, it's easy to touch a corner of one to another by accident or something like that. There's many ways that art can get dirty. You mentioned one of yours had coffee sprayed on it, like somebody spilled the coffee drips on it.
So it takes it, But what I have an artist friend who, when I see his canvases, they're always scuffed on the corners and the sides, and it goes with the art. So after seeing that, I kind of wanted to make a style that could take a beating. And I think I have one that can take a beating when it's ripped paper. But I think there's also an avenue where you could make a painting that has age and texture to it that then could take more of this beating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a guitar player, and there's I think there's the Fender Relic shop where you can order a brand new Fender, and they'll make it look like it's been played by Stevie Ray Vaughan for 40 years. Like, they'll put scuff marks in all the right places. They'll, and they relic it for you, and it costs a lot of money to have that done. And then, like going to buy a vintage pair of Levi's, you're spending 5 times as much as a brand new pair of Levi's. So there is that whole trend that exists of making things antique look older than they are on purpose.
I mean, that's just a bonus, because really the real intent is that even with the varnish, but no matter what, as it ages, it always looks good with age.
Yeah, that kind of slight damage is part of the way the art looks. So I could see, like, if it gets another little scuff along the way, it won't.
And you know what it symbolizes? If someone has it on the wall and it has some scuffs, it means that they're trying to preserve it from any more damage, and it's so beautiful that they're willing to put it on the wall, even with those scuffs.
Yeah, I mean,
so it really adds to the whole preservation of an antique of beauty.
One thing that I think adds the most to preservation is the price you charge for your art. Because if you charge a lot of money for your art, people will respect that art. If you're charging $100 and under, it's disposable, just like anything else that somebody bought on a whim for $70, like a lava lamp, and they bought it at 92 and 94, and then
lava lamps are sick.
I think they're sick, but I know a lot of people that bought lava lamps in the 96 when the hippie stuff was coming back, and it's been in their closet for 25 years now.
But
so, like, there's fads, things, like, we both know that a lot of times art purchases can be impulsive. So if it's going to be an impulsive purchase, the higher the prices, the more likely that person is going to justify them to themselves for a lot longer period of time that it was worth it. Whereas if somebody spends $40 on something, as soon as they change any decor and it doesn't fit in, it's going in a drawer in a closet somewhere where no one sees it, and that's it. It's forgotten about for maybe years, and that kind of thing happens. So there is a certain correlation between what you charge for your art and how your clients will treat it during the rest of its life and their life.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the hardest part sometimes, when you need money and you can't play that card, where you're just like, someone wants to buy something, you're not sure if they're gonna. You throw your art to the wolves. What am I gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, especially at the earlier part of my career, I definitely, it's not even that I threw it to I didn't know better. I was also living in a third world country where just the cost of living and just prices on almost everything was, quite a bit lower. And, so yeah, I mean, it's normal if you're starting off as an artist that you're probably not pricing your art properly, and it's also normal as an artist, even if you are, to sometimes let things go for a lot cheaper because you need money for whatever. You got whatever bill or whatever thing you want to do that's coming up. You got a concert coming up, and really you'd rather have that $150 to go see this band than you would to have this painting you made 4 years ago that you got priced for $999. So it's like, do I want to have it on my wall next week and not go to the show, or do I want to just move this thing on and go to the show? Like, that's fair, that's cool. But at the same time, if you do that kind of thing too often, you can undermine your future career, because those people might only buy from you when you throw them those deals. So I guess it's good to maybe have some of those people on deck that you can touch base with and get a good, get some money whenever you need it. But you got to make sure that kind of stays between you and that person. I think that would be my opinion.
What, like having someone that you can hit up to buy pieces?
Yeah, but if like somebody that only buys them for bargain prices type of thing. You don't want to be selling your art at bargain prices all the time. You want people to respect the fact, especially once you get to a certain point in your career, you're going to want to start putting your foot down a bit more and being like, no, this is what my art's worth. And if you're not willing to pay that, like, I'm glad to work out installments with you, but like a painting that took me 20 hours, I'm not letting that go for $100. I'm not undervaluing my art's. My time's worth more than $5 an hour.
Right now, I'm trying to do 24 by 36s, and if they don't sell, they're easy to stack, and eventually you could put a show.
Yeah, they're also a good size to take
and
hang in locations. Like I think we've mentioned it before. At a certain point, if you have art stacked up in your studio that's not seen because you don't even have room on your own walls to display it, and they're just leaning against each other. It might be better to put them in a spot like a cafe or a library or wherever, some local business that'll let you hang them up that has like sort of a same vibe that'll go with your work, But that can also go the other way where that might be a big waste of your time because moving them all there and hanging them up and having somebody at that business that doesn't.
They have to talk about it.
They have to talk about it. They have to at least be able to quickly refer a person to you if somebody has questions. Like, they've got to take a part in it.
I tell them to close. Just close.
And like we've talked about in another episode, is it very much depends on who's running that business and how interested they are in your art and making money from it.
One good tactic is to explain that the bottom dollar, the bottom line.
Yeah.
And the person's still going to make money on the bottom line. So give them the bottom line and say it's $500. And tell them that when someone asks, $750 or more. So that you could start doing those bargaining chips that tip someone over onto a yes.
That's
all right. Today, $600. And the person, you act now.
That's something.
You act in the next 25 minutes. And
that's something we've never really talked about is negotiating.
Oh, okay. Well, let's bring that up.
Yeah.
The tactic that I'm talking about is that when you say $750, you're gauging the person's interest. They might say yes. Now they're not. But do you want them to walk away? I don't think so. So when you say that you're going to knock off $100, they might get on the phone with their wife.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're on the phone with their wife, then you might have something.
Yeah, either you'll have something or you'll have a no right away. But that's the thing, is negotiating is something that is just a standard sales tactic in pretty much every kind of sales all over the world. Like, that's negotiating. Trade deals between countries is negotiating.
A good metaphor is
poker.
Making sure you have cards and making sure you don't play all your cards at once.
Yeah, exactly. You don't
$750 when it's $500 is one of those cards.
Yeah.
Just but one of the cards.
And that's something that should always be taken into consideration when you're pricing your art, is building in a buffer zone that you can negotiate with. Like if you need $500 for a painting, don't price it at $500 and say, sorry, I can't make any deals ever, no way, no how. No, 500 is firm. Like, it's better to price it at $750 or even $1,000. And then if somebody's like wants that piece and they're like, $1,000's a little bit too much, you could say, well, what if I give it to you at $750 today? Like, would you want it? I'll let it go for that today. And then somebody might say yes, or and then you can negotiate even more. Like, that piece, it's been in my studio for a little while. Like, I'll let you have it for $600 or $500 or whatever. Like, it's normal. And galleries usually do that too. When you deal with the gallery, normally they're gonna have you have a price posted, and they'll usually build in like a buffer zone with the let you know about it, that there's gonna be a buffer zone where they'll be able to negotiate for 15 or 20% off. Galleries won't usually negotiate the same as buying art right off an artist out of their studio will. An artist out of their studio might let older work go for 70-80% off. Mm-hmm. Galleries are not going to give you 70-80% off because they're always showing current work, and they've got bills to pay, and they've got a rotation. Like, if they don't sell a ton of art off at this show, they'll sell more on the next one. Like, they're usually not in the same position as the artists themselves buying art out of their studios to negotiate. But it's normal to have space in your prices to negotiate. So.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say at 600 you start bringing it down again if your bottom line was 500. Like $100 or $200 before your bottom line, ask them what their budget is.
Mm-hmm.
Play that card. You've already negotiated. Fuck this, throw the ball back in their court, and they're going to tell you a number, and it's probably going to be $100 less than the last thing you said. and that's it.
Well,
They'll look to snake $100, and then you'll be like, that's my bottom line anyways, bitch.
Another thing you can do in that case is also you can show them similar. If they come back with a price like you want 500, and they come back with you like their budget's 150 or whatever, you know, if their budget's 5,000 and you're coming down to something, you can show them something else that's more in their price range, and or you can say, look, I can make something inspired by this one that's a little smaller or a little less detailed or whatever, or you know, like. It'll be similar to this one in your price range.
Yeah, because if you don't ask what the person's budget is, then the potential storyline is, oh, I didn't think it was so expensive, diddly-diddly-do, and they leave.
Another thing you want to do when if people are approaching you about doing anything custom is you want to get them to give their budget right away. You don't want to spend 5 hours or a long time going back and forth about ideas and before you start talking about money. And that's a mistake that a lot of artists that take commissions do. It's a mistake I did at the beginning. I'd let people tell me all their ideas and what they wanted to do, and I'd think about it and write back like, I think this would be cool, or maybe make a sketch, and then they'd ghost me, or they decide they didn't do it, or once I bring up a price, they're like, oh, I thought you did this for free, and things like that would happen. And like, I've already given you 2 to 3 hours of my time, you know, talking about all your magical ideas that you have for this painting, and then you don't want to, like, so in order to not waste my time or their time, you know, getting them to have this excitement for something that they're not going to get, because usually if that happens, if they get all excited about getting this and they've talked to you about their ideas and then the price you quote them is way higher, they're going to call you greedy. They're going to leave with a bad taste in their mouth. So it's best to get that money conversation out of the way right at the beginning before you get all their excitement and hopes up, and before you get all your excitement and hopes up. Be like, well, look, I love doing custom work. What's your budget? Once I know your budget, then let's talk about ideas. But honestly, if you're not even willing to talk about money, I can't take 2 hours to talk about all your ideas with you, because, you know, you're obviously not ready yet. If you're not ready to talk about money, you're not ready to be talking about ideas either. So, you know, there's ways you can word that perhaps a little more politely.
Yeah, but it's important for people to understand that the art of making a visual image is an important art in our world, and it's always paid for at the master level. It's
also important for people who are paying an artist to do something to understand that the conceptualization is part of it. You're not just paying me for the time that a brush is in my hand. You're paying me for the time that
the brush was in his hands.
Yeah,
all those times.
Yeah,
that all the
previous, but also the time I'm gonna have to maybe look up reference photos for the thing you want me to paint, and like spend time conceptualizing how I'm gonna lay it out on the canvas, and maybe do a couple of sketches to, you know, figure things out in my own head before I start on the canvas, stuff like that. Like, you're not just paying me for the canvas that's getting done. You're paying an artist for all that conceptualizing, for the whole conversation, the 2-3 hours. Sometimes it might be 2-3 hours when somebody's got a really deep idea or a deep meaning behind their art, or especially if it's something like in my case, I've done memorial mandalas for people, and they'll tell me a lot about this person who they want this piece of art to memorialize. That's a conversation that I'm not going to rush. I want to know as much as I can, and I want to get this vibe, this feeling, to absorb that energy of this person I'm trying to capture in this piece of art. Like, that's an important conversation, but it's also an emotionally heavy conversation. And I'm not a therapist, so unless you've made a deposit on the painting, I don't really want to have that 3-hour conversation about your person who died that I don't know. Like,
and the truth is, you've done it.
Yeah, the truth is I've done it.
That exact story that you said.
Of course.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, so we sometimes learn the hard way. If you're listening to this, trust me, you're going to learn the hard way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's what,
do.
That's a big part of the reason we share our mistakes. Or, you know, like I've said it before, they're not really mistakes, they're learning experiences, but like, that's why we share some of them, and we try not to hide them and pretend we do everything perfectly all the time, because mistakes and like things that you could have done in a better way, like learning from other people that have done those mistakes first and avoiding them. Well, you know, it's like having a GPS and taking a detour around traffic.
This is more about when the experience happens to you, you'll think of this this time right now where we're telling you it's going to happen, and you might laugh instead of taking it negatively. And
Yeah.
then you won't make the same mistake twice. Not saying don't be a good person.
Yeah,
listen to
sometimes
people.
you might make the same
Listen to
mistake
people,
twice.
but in the business sense of art, you're better off, like Adam said, talking about what the fee is. If they're not down with the fee, then you get back to your work. You're right back to your work, and you're working on your thing. But yeah, there's a lot of time that could be spent doing other things, and that's one of the vices that face artists nowadays. There's so much entertainment. Any person, really. There's so much fucking entertainment going on, and the Wi-Fi everywhere, that you could spend the whole day doing fuck all. And be fully content.
It's also that artists are very approachable now, you know? Before social media, getting in touch with your favorite artists, like, you had to find their address somehow, know somebody that knew them, look up the gallery that they were with, you know, and maybe write them a letter and get a stamp and, like, hope that some way they'd read it. Now you can just go comment on their stuff on social media and they'll see you in 3 minutes, you know? Like, artists are very accessible, so there's a lot more people that will take advantage of that access and just, like, spew stuff at this artist that they're inspired by and, you know, or want to learn from. And sometimes they might not consider that there's maybe many other people sending those same kinds of messages, like, oh, I just need 2 minutes, can you just answer this one question, like, I just need to know you're this or that, or how do you, like, and it's fine, you know, like, it's gonna come to a point,
it's part of the job, bro.
It's part of the job, but
part of the job.
But it also comes to a point where it's hard to answer everybody. Sometimes people are going to get resentful for you, and you'll see nasty messages underneath messages that you didn't see yet about, like, oh, so you don't answer little guys like me, right? And there'll be somebody that messaged you 2 hours ago, and, you know, like, so that...
Part of the job, bro. It's part of the job.
It's totally part of the job. The reason I'm bringing this up is because that kind of thing is the main reason I built my website. Because now I have a thing where I can send people, and I have this website that does a big part of the work for me a lot of the time. So, you know, there's people that you can tell right away that they're those kind of people that are just wanting to have conversations and talk and chat, and they're not interested in supporting your career, and they want to talk for 3 hours or tell you about the acid trip they had that your art makes them think of. And it's, you know, I don't always have time for that story. So, like, okay, here, hit me up at my email, write me an email, and I'll answer you when I got time. Right now, I'm having a chat with someone else about a custom piece, so don't have time to listen about your acid trip. Apologies. You know, so, like, having a website, it also gets the pricing conversations out of the way. It also gives you an easy link to post where you can be like, oh, well, here, if your budget's this, here's my link to my album. You can check it all out instead of having to go one at a time through 15 paintings that you've got and sending the guy and sending the price and this and that and the other thing. For me personally, it made my life a lot easier when I did that. My website took a lot of the stress of dealing with individual people about individual situations all the time out of the equation, because now I can be like, oh, well, here's my, you want to know about my process of how I make my paintings? Here, I have a whole page on my website about that. You want to know why I started painting? Here, I have a whole page on my website about that. You want to know about pricing your art? Here, I have a blog post about that. Here's a link right to the blog post.
I think it's so important, though, to, especially in this day and age with everyone trying to third party and drop shipping things, to focus people on messaging you and actually opening up a dialogue. Because if they didn't do that with the other artists, there will be a serious impact in comparison.
No, you're right.
It will be felt.
You're right. It's a fine line to walk, and it depends where your business is at. My business at one point got to a point where it was too much for me to handle, and the only option was to do what I did, was to build a website to handle a lot of it for me. And it did. And my website, you know, even in the last year, I think I made over $8,000 off of my website. So it's not like it's doing nothing for me. It's definitely working for me. When I make sales on my website, 90% of them are when I'm, like, asleep or not at home or, like, not even on the computer. I get up and, you know, go check my email, bang, you have a sale. Awesome. So I don't have to go back and forth. I don't have to give people my PayPal. I don't have to, you know, answer a million questions from them and they just go buy stuff. I'm still there if people have questions. Don't get me wrong. If you write me in my DMs and you have questions about buying something, damn right I'm going to answer you. But if you write me, you know, a 10-paragraph story about how your acid trip and this and that and the other, like, there's a good chance I'm not even going to read it. Like, sorry, that's just, I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have time for acid.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, like, you know, like, if you respectfully write to me and be like, hey, man, do you have a couple minutes to chat? Like, your art made me think of this experience I had and I just wanted to share it. And then I say, yeah, I got a couple of minutes. Go ahead, unleash. But if I check my message and, like, this rando person from a group I'm in sent me, you know, 10 paragraphs about how they had a message from God about how I need to do this painting for them, like...
It's a real message, I saw
it. Probably not going to reply to that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
No, okay.
I know, I'm not even going to reply. What do I say to that? Like,
no, I guess you're right. The best thing is to not reply because you can offend him.
Yeah, and that's the way it is on the internet. No matter what you do, there's a good chance you're going to offend someone along the way. Like we've said it before in other things, there's plenty of people who think Mother Teresa was trafficking children and stuff.
What?
Like yeah, there's people who hate Mother Teresa and think that
why
she was trafficking. I don't know, but
What?
all I know is like
the first I hear this,
Mother Teresa. Most people, when you say that word, they're like, "Oh, Mother Teresa." They think of the most saintly person on the planet. And then there's other people. You say Mother Teresa, she was a child trafficker and a horrible person, and she's burning in hell. So,
well,
like, no matter what,
if you were the most evil
you're always
person,
gonna end up with
if you were the most evil person, it would make sense that the storyline is that you're the most saintly. So I don't know if he is. I'm just saying that would make her...
the vampire who has to go to his child blood transfusion appointment after our
That's
podcast.
like ongoing joke.
It is now.
My blood is butter.
Coconut oil. Coconut vampire.
I got another tub of ghee today, and it really feels amazing.
Nice.
It feels amazing. But coconut oil doesn't suffice.
And coconut oil does it for me, but fat does it the best. But that's because we're both on keto diet. All of a sudden, just going into like ghee and butter. Yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, keto diet was awesome. It cured up some health problems I had, and lost a bunch of weight, and I feel like 10 million times better. I spend more time on my art now, so it's like awesome. So yeah, I
just like it. I'm back on the cheese. It's good times.
Good times, yeah. I don't know how you even got off of that.
You gotta try different things, you know. I'm always doing that. At one point, I tried to sleep for 20 minutes every 4 hours. And that was a hell of a ride, my friend.
How long did that last?
All summer long.
Really?
All summer long.
20 minutes every 4 hours. So what?
Like sometimes you do.
Only like
sometimes you do pass out. Sometimes you do pass the fuck out, and you don't wake up for 2-3 hours. You know what I mean? But then you're like, okay, readjust. But what would start to happen is you would have a dream as soon as you passed out. The dream would last what felt like hours. So when you came back after 20 minutes, you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sleep, because you were gone. You did so many things, and now you're back here, and you're almost perplexed that you're back here, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm here, and you get up. And it's a very strange, it's a strange pattern. It can't be done unless you have the means to do it. Back then, I had more the means to do it.
What do you mean by the means to do it?
I had less of a business running it. I was doing street magic and stuff like that, so it didn't matter.
Oh, I thought you had more access to child blood or something.
Nah. It was just easier and more free. Now it's like, I have a kid, there's deliveries and fucking mailing shit.
Yeah, no, definitely, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like,
when I'm older, I'll do it again.
Yeah, like, there's some things that I definitely think that I could fit into my schedule that would probably improve just my overall energy level. Like, I should probably go to the gym. You know, I'm almost 40. Like, my back's always a little sore, you know, over painting, you know, my neck, shoulders, like, a lot of times that's sore, you know? So, I think that taking care of myself a little better is going to be, like, one of my priorities for the next few years, you know? After bouncing back from being unhealthy for a few years, like, I already feel way better. I've done a lot of things for my health that have improved, but there's definitely more room for improvement. And your overall health and just energy levels and the way you feel on a day-to-day basis has a big has a lot to do with how well your business goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of only now that I've been healthy for a little while that I realize all the other things that I didn't do when I was unhealthy. Like I could only do the bare minimum. I could only make art and post on social media and do the bare minimum things I could do, but I didn't really feel good inside. So I was doing it because I had to, not so much because I wanted to. And it was a different vibe coming out of me. It was a vibe of desperation, and the desperation was due to my health situation, but also due to my art career. The two went kind of hand in hand because that's where my income came from. So it was a tough period for me to go through. But now that I feel better with my health, I'm becoming more conscious of all the other things that in my life that kind of went to the wayside when I was unhealthy. I didn't have a social life. I didn't feel comfortable leaving the house for long because I was sick and tired all the time, and all these other things became mental patterns as much as they became physical. There was physical issues that led to those mental patterns. Those mental patterns are still present in a lot of cases, and it's something I got to work on to get out of those patterns and get out of the house more, to go downtown and participate in artistic related events, and just that in general. And I'm sure that there's other people that can relate, whether they've been depressed or whether they went through a breakup and they have been kind of home stuck because their relationship or maybe somebody close to them passed away and they've been kind of in a shell because of that. And there's a million reasons that somebody can get into a situation like that where they're kind of isolating and don't feel their best.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're one of those people, I can relate to that feeling and that vibe. And
it's natural to hermit when you're sick.
Yeah, sick or grieving or whatever. And if you've been in a long relationship that ends, that's a form of grieving too. So it's not just when people die that you're grieving. So those are all things that can affect just your overall vibe. But if you can take care of your health along the way, those down phases, those down periods during any of those issues that might pop up won't last as long. They might not get as deep and things like that. So I don't know. I'm becoming conscious of all these things that I haven't, that I wasn't doing, and these patterns. And
we talked about it, I think, on the last episode, that art is an outward manifestation of your internal state.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the, everything in life is, but this business is one of the few that really, it's marquee. You see it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think my internal state lately has been hopeful. I guess is the word I want to use. I've been feeling more hopeful long term. I got to admit, short term, I'm still having a little trouble getting motivated. I haven't made any posts on social media in 5 days or something. I haven't even shared our last episode of Arty Time to all my social medias yet. So there's some things I'm slacking on. Social media gives me anxiety. When I go into social media, it's kind of work for what? For the same 5 people to see me again, and but that attitude is my own shitty attitude, because I should be excited about it, and I should be excited that there's this opportunity still for me to reach all these people that follow me and want to see my content and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to focus on being grateful for that, and but doesn't always work, because right now my income isn't coming from my art career. And I said this many episodes ago, and I think I will say it again. If you want to become an artist and have a career as an artist, the best thing you can do is quit your job. Because when you have income to rely on, it makes it a lot harder to find the motivation and energy to really, really give it your all for your art career. And to make an art career successful, you really need to give it your all the time.
But
right now, I'm not. I've been painting more, but I've been dropping the ball on the rest of it, because I've been painting more. Because now I have 25 hours less in a week that I can do it, and my income doesn't depend on me doing it. My income is coming from my job.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel as urgency.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that coin, when I see it's been 4 or 5 days, I kind of get down on myself, and I'm like, oh, like, you know, like, now I got to get back into it, and it's harder to get back into it. So, like, it's, I guess, like an exercise program. The best way to not have to get back into it is not to get out of it. But in my case, like,
but there's no shame in falling out of it. I fell out of it. Wasn't it a couple days ago where I'm like, I don't even know what I do anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, and that happens sometimes. You know, for me, it could be just 2 days, and then I have to readjust and think about what I like to do and what I want to do, and you know, resettle the pieces. There's no shame in that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's one of the things that I've mentioned a few times too that I'm moving towards is I really want to pay my debts off so that I can start using everything I'm paying my debts off with to hire somebody to help me manage that social media stuff, so I don't need to, like, you know, get that anxiety every day about it, you know. So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to being able to do. It's probably going to be another, you know, maybe January before I'm finally debts paid off and able to do that. But, you know, that's one of the goals that I'm moving towards in my art career is to hire help. And one of our episodes, like, I don't know, episode 5, 6, 7, something like that, was actually called Get Help. And we talked about all the ways that having somebody to help you can really, you know, be a huge benefit to your art career, whether it be hiring a photographer because you're not good at or don't have good photography equipment, whether it be hiring a social media person, whether it be having somebody do your website for you, whether it be having, you know, there's a million, whether it be somebody having you render graphics to make your patterns into embroidery, to do on things, like, there's all kinds of ways you can hire people to do some little parts of your job, and they all help free up your time and your mind to help focus on other things.
Don't try and do it all. You know, it takes a good team. If you learned anything from the 1991 Chicago Bulls championship, isn't that right? It takes a team.
It takes a team. I learned that from the 1991 Chicago Bulls championship, that if you owned a Chicago Bulls starter jacket, you were, like, amazing at an elementary school.
Well, everyone loved you.
Yeah.
But didn't you rip it?
No, I didn't have the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, that was the Habs.
I had the Canadians one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Canadians didn't have Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. We just had Patrick Waugh. So, I don't know.
See, it takes a team.
Depends what sport you were into.
And that's really important in business. It's really important in art, too. And I think that involves the art scene that you might be involved in. And much as we talk about finding hobbies so that you're, you know, so you're actually the artist. If you fucking play golf, I'm sure there's not going to be that many artists there that love golf. I don't like golf. I'm not going to be there. But it is important to hang out with other artists. And be
Super important.
And be part of that scene that you're in. And you're all a team, and you're all trying to bring money into that industry in your town.
And that's part of the reason that, like, I'm just being honest about all the mental issues I've gone through with, you know, having trouble adjusting to getting a job and the health issues and, like, all these things that are going on, because I know there's a lot of other artists that have similar things going on, you know, like, in their own way. And just knowing that you're not alone and it's normal, and, like, you know, people go through it, not just artists, you know, just people in general go through ups and downs and emotional times, and, you know, taking care of your health is one way to help mitigate those things. So, like,
that's one of the most important things, is to halt everything if you can, or at least the first thing that you should be focused on is that. Yeah. And a lot of times it's just stop what you're doing, because what you're doing is hurting yourself. And all you have to do is figure out what was the thing that you were doing that's hurting yourself.
Yeah, for me, like, it's a big thing that I still, even though I know it's a problem, I recognize I still end up spending way too much time scrolling through Facebook.
It's but it's designed. It's designed.
I know it's designed that way, but
it's constant. It's all you gotta do is do a flick on a mouse, and it's just constant stimuli.
I know, but it bothers me. Like, it gives me anxiety. I don't feel good, but I still do it anyway. I'm addicted. I need to break this addiction, and to break this addiction is my plan to do it, is to hire someone else to get in there every day for me.
Yeah, but also when you see it, you have to have a command or like a phrase that you tell yourself that undoes that. And really it is, there's nothing there. It's shit content.
Mm-hmm.
It's always shit content. They make sure that it's garbage and that they give you what you want maybe after 20 scrolls or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed like that. So it's just like, they're fucking me. And you get out of it because you've learned the lesson, you know?
But I haven't obviously learned the lesson.
Tell yourself
I've been still talking
there's
about
nothing
this.
there.
I do tell myself that. Believe me, sometimes I'll literally shake my head and realize like I've been in a trance for 10, 20, 30 minutes.
Sometimes
40
I
minutes.
check it just to see how unbelievable it is that the people that I want to see in post notify how much they make me work to see those people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put random people I don't even know how they got here. I don't even know how they got here. And then eventually, someone that I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to go through waves of who, what, huh?
Yeah, thankfully I use an ad blocker, so I get like way less garbage than if you don't use an ad blocker.
I think they're just flooding my network so that I can't like, you know what I mean? They're not banning my like, but they're flooding me with garbage that I can't swim out of the sea of trash to be like, I'm here, guys. I'm not doing. It's pretty much how it feels.
Well, that's how I feel when I use Instagram, and like I haven't even logged into Instagram in like 5 or 6 days.
Well, that's social
they
media
banned me from interacting with other
it's
people.
social media in general. Social media is so trash. It's so trash nowadays.
Yeah, it's Facebook social media that's trash because they keep you from seeing the posts you want to see. And like, there's other social medias out there that are pretty good. The problem is sharing them on Facebook. Facebook shadow bans them. So you can share them on Facebook till your cows come home, and none of your friends are gonna see them. We talked about shadow banning in our last episode. You'll see the post; it'll look like it's there, but if you go log into Facebook through your friend's account and they go to your timeline, that post is nowhere to be found. That's what a shadow ban is.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook denies that they do it, yet at the same time, Facebook has a patent for the way their algorithm does it. Facebook literally says they don't shadow ban, yet they have a patent on how they shadow ban.
They're shadow banning.
Yeah. So anyway, like they shadow ban YouTube links a lot of the times. Like if anybody posts a YouTube link, the only way you'll ever see a YouTube link is if you go to the person's profile. Like it's very rare you'll see YouTube links in your
YouTube
newsfeed.
And because YouTube really was built on the virality of sharing on Facebook.
It totally was.
They both grew together.
Yeah. But then when Facebook started letting people post videos on Facebook, now YouTube is a competition, and now they lock Facebook or YouTube out with their algorithm. So
and we're the victims because now we can't share as a society. Not
and YouTube monetized your channel. So if you had 10,000 people following you on YouTube and then 80,000 people following you on Facebook, you post that thing on YouTube, even though a whole bunch of those people might not follow your YouTube. They'll watch your YouTube, and then because you're getting all those hours of watch time, you're making money from the people advertising on your channel. But now that Facebook won't let those 80,000 people see your YouTube anymore, now you're only getting to your own subscribers, and getting new subscribers is a lot harder.
The golden age. We're back there again.
Yeah.
You used to be able to write up a story on your website, put some Google ads, put it on Facebook. You're making money, baby.
Mm-hmm.
People were sharing. If it was good content, people would be like, okay.
Yeah, some of my
such a crazy age.
Some of my posts used to get 300-400 shares. The last time I had a post that had more than like 3 or 4 shares, I can't even remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a different time. It's like they don't even have the share button. Share button does it exist on Facebook?
It still exists, but when I share other people's content, like nobody sees it. Like very few people see it.
It was like the button back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Likes, fuck that.
Well, that's the whole social part of social media.
Yeah,
now there's no social. It's just like media.
Yeah, and Instagram there is no sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we share in the stories. I guess we swap and show other people's stories. So it's still existing. It just exists in a new state of more media.
The thing is on MeWe.com and on Minds.com and on Steemit.com, sharing still exists.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that social media is
chronological, so people see your posts in the order they're posted.
Well, people don't want to fucking go on that shit, bro. With all this crazy buttons and like,
there's no crazy
buttons.
There's
events and there's and there's. Have you seen? Is it anything like Facebook?
It's almost exactly like Facebook.
Yeah, and Facebook is a fucking mess. They did exactly what MySpace did, where they just You go there, it's just like people's music is playing, and like backgrounds are black with rainbow
What
text.
are you talking about? You
There's-
obviously never use any of these websites. MeWe, Minds, and Steemit don't have any of this stuff that you're
I know,
talking
because
about.
no one did that like MySpace did it. MySpace,
They're like Facebook used to be. They have a chronological newsfeed. They have groups that you can join, and you can actually see the posts in the groups, and you don't get shadow banned from 90% of the group members. And they have chats that work. The chat on mine is encrypted, so you can talk about whatever you want, and Facebook isn't going to be able to put ads into your freaking personal chats.
my point is that the new social media is multimedia with videos, and that's where it is, and that's where it's going to move towards. Not back necessarily to that. It was blogs, and then it became like
I'm not talking about
videos
the
and
formatting
music.
of it. I'm talking about the being able to reach your followers aspect of it.
Yes, and your followers are going to be on the evolution of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And the evolution is, if you look at what the kids do, dude, it's pure video.
Mm-hmm.
It's video, and that's the way it's going to be in the future. You can have text and stuff, but it's not where the majority of the mainstream is going to be. They're going to be in a platform that has video. And I'm going to be communicating with
Which
signs.
sucks for me
as
because I hate
ads
video.
fucking
Like,
come in.
my brain doesn't work that way. I don't like communicating as much through video. I like writing. That's the way I like communicating. I like writing. I like putting thoughts into the words.
Write
that
the
I'm typing.
script, pay someone on Fiverr with a big, crazy movie voice to read it, and then you'll just be holding your painting. This painting,
Yeah, maybe I can do something like that. Down
Cosmic
the line,
Journeys,
but
24
I've also
by
said
24.
I've also
Or
said
thriller.
before in other
Yeah,
episodes
this.
that your modality, the way you communicate with people, is the way you should communicate. If you communicate more comfortably by writing, and you're not gonna communicate by videos because you're too nervous about it, like me, write. It's better to write and communicate than to not share your art because you're too nervous about creating videos.
I think you should make videos and just, if you're awkward on videos, that's just funny. This is you, you know, and you're like, hey, I wrote this thing, pick my face here and check.
But see, that's easy
The thing
for you.
I wrote-
For other people, the whole concept of getting lighting right and getting the frame right and even turning on the camera, they'll freeze before they even
But don't fake
get
it.
to the point.
Just do it however it's meant to be. If it's dark and grimy, I guess that's just how you are. If it's in the park, that's how you are.
Meant
You know
to
what I
be
mean?
tight for me. That's how it's
Yeah,
meant to
but-
be. For me, that's how it's meant to be when I communicate about my art. I'd rather write a book about my art and
But
sell
if you
that
really
book.
want it, there's a sense of urgency. You will press record on that camera and you will say the simple words, "Hey, I fucking wrote this thing. Everyone's here
Mhm.
on this video thing, so click my thing, check, read my thing."
Mhm.
It's so important. Everyone's there.
Mhm.
People sign into Instagram. I don't even think they check the
See,
feed. They
I
probably just
don't
go
know
to
that I
stories and
agree
watch
that
stories.
everyone's there because pretty much the last 3 or 4 clients that I had that became my patrons and or bought things were from Minds, MeWe, and Steemit. They're people that I met on there. One of them paid me in cryptocurrency. He found me on Steemit.
Everyone's there is a matter of. You know,
I know it's
so
like there's
turn a phrase,
there's
bro.
different audiences in different places. That's what I'm saying, and they're different eyeballs. So ignoring the space where you can get in front of eyeballs without having algorithms in between you.
Tough though. Tough. Reddit was good. I made some sales on Reddit, and then bots making money.
I've been on MeWe
And then you get
Minds.
discouraged. It's
I've been
fucking
on MeWe
bots.
and
It's like the
Minds.
Matrix.
You're right. If you're just starting on MeWe and Minds, it can be discouraging because you don't have the same followers. But if you look at rationally, if you have 2,000 followers on Facebook and 1% of them are seeing your posts,
Then yeah.
then you're better to have 200 followers on Minds where 10% of them are seeing your posts. It's like, you know, that's what I'm trying to say. You know, it's worth going to look at them. If you're an artist and you haven't looked at them and you haven't started an account on them and you haven't made a few posts at them, then your opinion is not valid. You don't have an opinion yet. Like you're
I don't know. I
step up.
can't be bothered, bro. I can't be more on the internet. More on the internet.
Hmm.
I saw this girl the other day walking down the street with a shirt that said "offline."
That's awesome.
It's the best shirt I've ever seen.
And again, like it depends what your business is. I don't have a car. For me, doing the stuff that he does locally is hard. I couldn't do it. I can't bring paintings in a backpack. I can't throw a box of T-shirts and bring it in and have it in the trunk at all times.
Mm-hmm.
He can't. So same type of thing. If you're living in a town that has 3,000 people, your options of what you're going to do locally are very, very limited. Your options of what you can do online, on the other hand, are this is where I'm coming from. Your options of what you can do online are there are other options besides Facebook and Instagram, and if you're not looking into them yet, you should.
YouTube is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, so far
And you know, sometimes some people just they set up a camera and they do time lapse of their painting, and it's very satisfying for some people to see that progress. So even if you're uncomfortable on camera, you can look into the stylized ways of not having narration while still getting satisfaction to the viewer.
See, and here's why I haven't done that. I don't know how to do video editing. So for me to get through the whole process of the camera over 4 or 5, 10 studio sessions and then have to go edit it together and speed it up, like I don't know how to do all that. And learning how to do all that.
Like that phone right there does it.
It's that mental block.
That phone right there does it, and then you select all the videos, and you press export, and then I'll export as one. It's dummy proof.
Yeah, no, nothing's dummy proof when it's this dummy you're talking about.
But it's worth it when there's a sense of urgency to look into those things, because some artists, you know, they do those kind of effects, and you'll see it. You'll go on IGTV or whatever, and you'll see an artist using that technique of time lapse video, and they're getting their art out there. And they're not pro on video, but that effect is so satisfying for people. Where my technique of, you know, whatever joke comes to mind, you know, there's some dud days, my man. There's some days where I could use some writers. But not lately. My new storyline's going to be good.
What's your new storyline?
Cyberbum, bro.
Oh, nice.
To build up the Cyberbum.
Yeah. It's a shame Cyberbum has to pay royalties, though.
If you've made it this far in the podcast, you will eventually know that some of my storylines are pre-written.
Yeah.
It's like wrestling. Out there, choke slamming people. They're paying royalties. It's gonna be great.
So,
did I tell you about buying a belt?
No.
Oh, okay. I think it would be really sweet because, you know, there's a scene in Montreal, street art scene, and it would be really interesting to put in an elaborate story and like just get people talking about it, basically. So I'd buy a belt and have one person, after they've done a piece, they just become, and it comes out of nowhere, you know, like the champion, and like they get the belt, and there's like the song that plays, and then they have this belt. So hopefully they walk around town with this belt until someone else does another piece where it's in contention and stripped of the belt. Stripped. So people always have to, like, you know, there's a sense of building on each other,
bro,
and comedy.
It should be a cup, and it should be called the Streetly Cup.
No, but the championship is funny because you take it, but the cup, it has to be
and you get it engraved each time.
Yeah, but that's more of like there's a jam going on and elimination to the finals. There's a finals cup, but when there's a cup, there's a finals. When there's a championship, there's just championship matches.
Yeah, I guess.
And everyone can. If you go out and you're like, I'm gonna win the championship tonight, and you don't need anyone else but yourself and the belief. And if you do it and we see it, and there's a picture taken, you are champion. Until someone else goes out with the. And even sometimes when it's not better, it's just the new one, they're champion. And I think it would just get everyone's name out there. It would really make young people wish one day I'll hold the belt.
I think there would be fights over the belt, and it would become more like a wrestling than you even imagine.
It would be amazing. And then there'd be like 2 belts at one point. Someone doesn't want to relinquish it, and then there's 2
like
belts.
$1 million belt, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, it'll be good. But that's the whole point. It's just, that's art, around art.
See, I'm not good at coming up with storylines and doing all this kind of community stuff. Like, my art for me was really a personal healing journey out of drug addiction. That's what my art was for me. It wasn't entertainment for other people. It was a very deeply personal relationship with the spiritual side of my life and getting out of a trap that was killing me with alcohol and drugs. So for me, my story, when it comes to telling my story, is very different. It doesn't have that entertainment aspect to it. I'm not trying to entertain people. I'm trying to tell people, like, hey, if you've got a passion in your life, you should be following it. And if you have anything that's holding you back from that, by diving full into your passion, it'll probably help you get over whatever else is holding you back. So that was my story. My story was I was more like a motivational person than an entertainer. And that's the way that people related to my story, and that's the way that people related to my art a lot. And, I think that's probably why I ended up with a lot of people that would, hit my inboxes if I was a therapist and stuff like that. Whereas maybe that didn't happen as much to you. Or maybe it did, I don't know. But, so there's that other aspect. And that's why I love that we host this, because we're two very different artists. And I'm sure that for every other artist watching out there, they're all also very different from us and from each other. So, like, hearing these varied points of view and ways about going things can distill whatever they find the best out of it for them. Whatever you, the viewer, is getting out of it. Like, you don't have to take my word as gospel truth or Germ's word as gospel truth. Just like we hope you'll find some bits and pieces in here between what we say that will help you move forward in your own way.
Yeah, I don't think that you're going to buy a belt and walk around your town looking for the champion. But
if you do it, film it, please bootleg his idea, put it up there. I would love to see that. Tag me and let me see it. Unless it's on Instagram, I won't see it because Instagram bans me from even liking other people's stuff.
The main point was that it's just a storyline. It's just a storyline that's preordained, planned, and then carried out as if it's natural. And that could be done in your art career. And make it funny, because if not, it's lame, if you preordain some things. But there's no shame in the movie magic of certain things, where if it's for the betterment of the community and it's really funny. Anyway, the point is that, like, you can get inspired by things, and sometimes when you're inspired and it seems a little crazy, you should still do it. That's part of my art career, is that no one would ever be this crazy. Get a belt and fucking start filming that it's a championship and da-da-da-da. But I'm inspired to do that, and I think it's genius. And I have to just do it. Among other things, and the cyber bomb and the fucking... But I think it's all part of the act, and it's it could make me a little bit anxious because I have to do other things too, besides cyberbomb and all this stuff. But I just think it helps. I could paint more art, or I could paint art and in the meantime still do those things as well. And advertising your art is and getting the word out there is one of the most important parts of making art. If you want it to be a career.
Yeah, for sure.
If not, like, just make them as a series, make them all the same size, preferably big, and then show them at one point. That's also a tactic.
Like, right now, art is not my career, and it shows in the way that I treat my art career. I'm making my income from somewhere else right now, and, if I miss a day or what, like, I'm not giving it my all, like I could be.
And that's where I had a moment of like, whoa, what do I do again? Because I hadn't done. You wake up in the morning and you make things that make money. That's pretty much what I do, and not necessarily like I want to make comics. I know I could sell those comics if I make them on something that's valuable. If I make them on trash, it's trash. So if I'm gonna make a comic, I make sure it's a nice piece of paper and it's a viable product. Then I move to canvas. Maybe I make a shirt, but I'll know by the end of the day that I did something productive. If I do that enough consecutive days, then you have product and they start cashing out. If you don't do that, and also there's a feeling of if you're making something that's for sale, you're also advertising that your stuff's for sale. And if you just if I go and just have storylines where I'm not producing things, then that drum's not being hit. That there's products for sale and da-da-da-da. So it's important to create, show that you're creating, tell people that it's like, please support me, and carry on. Every day, do a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, right?
You. If you make something and tell people to support you, they will.
That's where I'm at now, is I am not being consistent enough. And, like, it's really showing in the bank account when it comes to the income that comes from my art. Because I'm not being consistent, because I got income from somewhere else. And I mentioned it in the first few episodes of this before I had a job, that that's a danger of getting a job. is my prophecy came true. You know, like I said, you know, if you have a job, you're not going to hustle as hard and you're going to feel comfortable. At the end of the day, you're going to feel like I already worked hard. I deserve to relax. I want to watch this TV show. I have this other thing I want to do. I want to go out and eat. I want to see some other friends. There's all these other things in my life that like I didn't do when I was sick and that I didn't have money to do, and I didn't feel comfortable relaxing because I had to make money and I had to do something else, so I was stressed all the time, and that wasn't working for me either. So like, you know, that's where I'm at. So it's this weird place, and it's mainly due to the social media algorithms like that. They really fucked me up. It threw a wrench into my business.
There's all kinds of things.
And I've had a hard time recovering from it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Because it's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfair what happened. That businesses were blossoming, good businesses that were good for society, and it just completely 180 and crashed to the ground and burned.
Mm-hmm.
Not plateaued. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
It crashed to the ground and burned.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it's upsetting. We have to take it in stride. I mean, that's the only. Hopefully, one day we'll look back and be like, "Wow, it was really unfair what happened."
Well, hopefully we'll look back and be like, it was really unfair what happened, but thankfully it did because this new, more fair platform came up that's awesome and like lets people's followers see their content and stuff like that.
I don't want to get too dark here, but you know, it does suck that there is a negative, evil energy that pervades our world. That's not welcome, really, because everyone's kind of like chill and happy, but there's some group of assholes out there that just suck. And why can't we live in a fairy tale world, goddammit? Where people are friendly. Why can't we? Why does it have to be some sort of crazy Hollywood plot where behind the scenes Mother Teresa is potentially trafficking children? That's why I'm willing to be like, I don't know, I'll check into it, bro. Who knows if they actually have proof? Because the world is as crazy as that.
Well, see, when I brought that up, that was kind of like just talking about the fact that like no matter what you do, there's going to be someone who's going to hate on it. And like for me, that was a big mental block that in my career when people would hate on me or call me greedy, I took it very personally because like the mission behind my art really wasn't greedy, and it was about, you know, changing my life from being the guy who used to be a greedy, scammy telemarketer cokehead to becoming this guy who doesn't do drugs and who's fucking changing his life around and, you know, making this beautiful stuff that hopefully people around the world are resonating with, and they were. So like, you know, that's like you say, that was the vibe I was putting out, and that's the vibe that like for some reason Facebook doesn't want that vibe shared. No, they want you to have Donald Trump in your feed 24/7.
Oh well, I think we will overcome, my man. We will persevere.
Yeah, I mean,
because we're making
as long as I don't give up. I know, like, there's still, like, okay, I can slow down, and, like, I think Confucius might have said it doesn't matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm kind of in that phase where, like, I'm going pretty slowly, not giving it my all, but I'm not stopping either. I'm working on, like, this 16 by 16 mandala. It's got, like, a nice, beautiful vibe with lots of bright, happy colors, and, like, I'm trying to take that
That's a really important.
I'm trying to paint the vibe that I want back in my life. I want that happy, pleasant, joyful, excited vibe back in my life. So I'm trying to use the law of attraction by painting mandalas with joyful, happy, exciting vibes.
Me too. That's so funny that we're doing the exact technique.
And it's gonna happen because the universe has no choice but to catch up to the vibe that you're trying to attract if you're really genuinely trying to attract it. So,
I mean, and ultimately, it's weird because you think you're attracting the vibe, but you're already in the vibe if you're making that thing that is bringing the vibe. You know what I mean? So there is no before or after. It's just happening all at once. You can bring that energy into your life, really.
Camera, so.
That's what a lot of people might not understand, is that these paintings could bring that energy into your life because it was summoned into this life.
It's got a bunch of details. I kind of got no details done on the corners yet, and near the edges I want to add some more details, so that's pretty much what the plan is for once the camera goes off on Arty Time. But like, brainwash you with positive vibes. Positive vibes.
Good vibes, yo, good vibes.
Okay, not brainwashing.
But if you're painting dark stuff, keep it in mind. It might make you more dark. And that's just the truth.
It can be. There's also been times where I was pretty down and I made art that brought that out. Like I used grays and reds and blacks and like just like
no problem there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're having an episode and you want to unleash it in a painting, that's cool to reflect on it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you stay in it, if you're some sort of horror guy and you're drawing horror faces all the time, you might want to consider putting a smiley face or a little flower in there, because it'll really brighten up your day.
It'll surprise the fuck out of people, that's for sure.
It'll be great juxtapositioning, but it is the fact that if you do feel down and you're drawing down things, know that you're keeping the vibe alive.
I also forget where I read
images.
it, but I read somewhere that people like to be scared.
Of course.
That's why people go pay a lot of money to drop themselves off of, jump out of airplanes and go down roller coasters and see horror movies. So there's a place for that kind of excitement. And if that's the kind of excitement that you like to create is this crazy dark shit, then go ahead and do it, you know? Paint a smile on it, it'll be even more creepy.
I just think that if you immerse yourself with too much of the negative imagery, it will...
It can, but then like look at someone like H.R. Giger.
And I'm only saying that because I have to oppose the positive one and know that there's a whole field of grays.
But there's also a whole field of people who don't look at negativity like that. Things that I would consider negative or dark and attach negative emotions to them. They attach positive, exciting emotions. Like this, the crazier and more evil a monster is, like the cooler they find that. So if you're the artist that's rendering those cool, evil, crazy creatures that end up being the demons in movies and shit and the like Godzilla... Like, if you're the dude that's creating Godzilla, like, that's cool. There's a place for Godzilla in the world.
Of course.
That's that's my take on it, anyway.
I'm going to put up a poster of a human centipede in your room. You tell me how long you keep it up.
Yeah, but I don't like that shit. There's somebody who
You're really trying to save grace of
There's somebody who fucking invested millions of dollars to make that goddamn movie, and it's a cult classic. There's
because
people who watch it over and over.
Out.
Yes, but that's what excites them. They want to be grossed out.
Of course.
So
there's a fine line. That's all I was saying.
They want when they want it and they want it.
There's a fine line. You're better off putting yourself into immerse yourself in a positive vibe than immerse yourself in what you would consider a negative vibe, and that can entail anything.
Yeah, but
just to stop Adam from rebuttaling here, it can entail anything.
I'm not going to stop rebuttaling that because for some people this can be a negative vibe. This can be a stupid hokey, law of one, you believe in it.
That's what I'm talking about. Your own. You know, your gut's telling you, hey, buddy, when you do that, it's kind of negative over here. Know that you are doing that in your day. I'm doing it, you're doing it.
That's a different
you brought
wording.
It before.
That's a different wording. Okay, now I get
That's
what
I'm talking about. I'm trying to say that you know when you're putting negative energy out and try to subvert it.
Yeah, I didn't get what you were
just trying to subvert it. No, it has nothing to do with skulls and fucking Metallica here.
I didn't get that.
You know what I mean? Like, if you attribute something that you do in your day, you know anyways. You know. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying. So it's better off to try and find what you think is positive and replace it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're trying to do now with your paintings, is trying to bring in that positive vibe. That's what I'm trying to do with my drawings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just bring in... the last thing that I drew that hurt me was shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And shit happened. You know what I mean? So, it's a serious power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I know that for me, like especially when I was first getting into the paint, like when I first started painting, and I looked at a painting that I finished, that like I didn't believe that I made it. There was this part of me that just didn't, like, it wasn't me. Like, I was an alcoholic. I should have been in a bar with a pile of Coke in front of me on the back of the fucking toilet, and, you know, hitting on girls when my wife's neck, you know, like, that's the kind of things that I used to do. That was the kind of person I was. And now all of a sudden there's these things coming out of me that people are loving and, like, resonating with, and I'm, like, finding out about channeling and light workers, and all these people are introducing me to all these ideas and concepts and things that I, you know, like immerse myself into because I needed to replace the old me with something different. And like I built this new me basically, and it wasn't just me. It was like the energy I got from all the people that were responding to the vibes I was putting out that really helped move that whole thing forward and gave me motivation and gave me confidence. And that's kind of what that took away a lot. It took away the confidence. It took away the confidence that like there's people that need this out there that really want this, and I need to give it to them because I'm the one that has this thing inside me that comes out. And when I would when it would come out and like hardly anyone was seeing it, it was like, well, kind of why am I doing it then? Like, I don't know. But again, that's like me. That's the vibe from me. It's not the vibe from the art.
You know, there's an old passage in some sort of old book, I think it's called the Bible, about this guy who God punishes and takes everything away from him to see if he will still be grateful or something. Job? Is it Job?
I don't know.
He fucks this guy up, bro. He like kills his family and like gives him hives and herpes, and he just absolutely messes this guy up as much as humanly possible to see if he'll like disgrace God, and he just like never does. And then he's given not his family back, but like mercy, slight mercy on that man.
Slight mercy. So yeah. So I guess maybe there'll be some slight mercy at some point, like something.
Yeah, it's a Hebrew part of the Bible. It's a little bit more gruesome than the Jesus part.
Oh, so it's like Old Testament stuff?
Yeah, it's an Old Testament.
Okay, that's fine.
But it was like, it's important that even if that's happening, to never lose faith. Always have hope. Because there might be slight mercy. That's all you can hope for.
Yeah. No,
but it's fine. I mean, even if there was slight mercy and we could just paint, that'd be great.
Well, I mean, I always said if I was the last person on Earth, I'd probably still spend some of my time painting. You know, whatever free time that I had left after I survived, I'd probably drop $9 in the sand or make, something like that, because it makes me feel complete inside.
And if anyone else came by, they'd be like, they know human was here because how else these things are rearranged like this?
Yeah. It'd be a good movie. The Artist. Like, aliens land and there's just like this one artist.
It ends with a gallery show. Up here.
The alien told me about the art. So, I mean, I don't know what I was going to say. I forget. My thought train derailed there.
But we should go and get back to the business of art there. You should be painting and I should be doing the doodly-doo on your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I could probably finish this up by tomorrow, and then I got to paint the sides black, and then I got to sign it. I sign all my paintings on the back, so that doesn't mess up the symmetry on the front. But
we're live.
This one will probably be done by the next episode.
This has been Arty Time, Arty on, excellent.
See you next time on Arty Time Podcast.
Number 20.
Number 20, yeah, big 20. 20.
We're gonna have a cake.
Maybe we should do some giveaways.
Of cakes.
Want to do some giveaways on the next one?
You know what I'd like to do is Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Yeah, but I don't know if we could do it on this. Anyways, we'll talk.
Goodbye.